Thanks for tuning in. You're watching Upfront. I'm Hyun-kyung.
Hello, I'm Yoo Jung-soo. On today's Upfront, we discuss the proposed establishment of DMZ World Peace Park.
For today's discussion, we are joined in the studio by Dr. Park Chan-bong, Secretary General of the National Unification Advisory Council.
Thanks for having me.
And on my left is Mr. Choi Chung-il, the UNESCO MAB National Committee of Korea.
Glad to be here. Thank you for the inviting.
No, thank you both for dropping by today.
My pleasure.
Well, we are now at the end of September, and one of the hottest topics that we have around here is the demilitarized zone that separates North and South Korea.
Right. I mean, it is garnering some attention because an international film festival just came to a close recently, and a biology convention gets underway in Pyeongchang, Gangwon-do province as well.
Right. Mr. Chen, environmental experts from all around the world are here in Korea for attending a very special event, the Convention on Biological Diversity. Can we expect the ecosystem of the DMZ to be discussed at the convention?
Yes, it will be discussed in the convention. As you know, the Convention on Biological Diversity is the biggest environmental convention after the Rio conference in 1992. And this is the 12th CBD-COP this time. And there are many subjects will be discussed. However, DMZ will be discussed, but not as a major agenda, but in the side events and some summit conferences, there will be a discussion on the DMZ, how it goes.
What can we make of North Korea's participation or the lack of interest from the North, though? South Korea did officially invite Pyongyang.
Yes, I think Dr. Park will know better about that, but in the convention, North Korea is a member of the convention and they ratify the convention, so they can come. However, they have to express their willingness to participate this conference through the Secretariat of CBD from Montreal, and I think they do not pay any intention to participate this time, which is held in Pyeongchang.
Well, I'm sure most Koreans in the South would welcome North Korean participation, but frankly, I would say that chances of North Korean participation would be about 50-50. On the optimistic side, North Korea is recently showing efforts to participate in international events like Incheon Asian Games. But on the pessimistic side, North Korea has been reluctant about any DMZ-related proposals from the South. So all in all, I would think the possibility of North Korean participation would be half and half.
And the DMZ, of course, is a very sophisticated area with a mix of environmental issues, also political matters at play for that matter. And President Park Geun-hye has made it known to the world that she wants to establish a DMZ World Peace Park. The question, though, is how. So let's take a look at this next report before delving deeper into the issue.
Remains of the Korean War that can be found within the demilitarized zone are painful reminders of a conflict that divided the peninsula. The Korean peninsula was divided into the south and the north along the 38th parallel, and the war broke out when the north crossed it to invade the south. The Korean demilitarized zone, also known as the DMZ, was created when an armistice agreement was signed on July 27, 1953. The DMZ area extends 2 kilometers north and south on each side of the armistice line, cutting across the Korean peninsula. From an area that nobody has visited for the last 61 years to an area of hope, with a various array of flora and fauna, including endangered species. The area is considered a land of peace that can contribute to improving inter-Korean relations.
It is with this vision in mind that I hope to work toward an international park inside the DMZ.
The vision is to make the DMZ a place where nature and humans can coexist, and where nations that used to engage in conflicts can cooperate. The Unification Ministry established a task force to build the DMZ World Peace Park and included it as one of 4 national projects under the goal of promoting peaceful unification. The big picture has been settled, and now the remaining challenge is how to promote the establishment of the Peace Park while maintaining its original goal. Developing the area without damaging the ecosystem and persuading the North to participate should be taken into consideration.
So keeping the balance between preservation versus inter-Korean relations will be the biggest challenge, it seems. But if one aspect had to be given a priority, then what would it be?
Well, you know, the DMZ is a vast area, covering a little more than 900 square kilometers. It constitutes about 1/20 of the whole area of the Korean Peninsula, and it is equivalent to about 1.5 times the area of metropolitan Seoul area, or about half the size of Jeju Island. So, you know, we cannot preserve the whole area in the process of unification. At the same time, we have to be aware that we are now talking about the DMZ as a temporary measure to manage the relations between the 2 Koreas until unification. So the DMZ is something that will have to be gone after unification, just like the Berlin was. In a sense, you know, you cannot have your cake and eat it all too. Situation. So the matter comes down to the question of what portion and which part of DMZ we will develop, and which part and which portion we will preserve.
But regardless of the size, wouldn't it be important to preserve the nature?
Well, I have a little bit different idea from Mr. Park, because DMZ as a whole is not that big, first of all. It's a very important ecological corridor. It connects back to Daegan, which is the back to mountain systems. So in a T shape, we have a in case of we have a unified country, unified peninsula, then back to mountain system plus DMZ will make a very good ecological corridor towards and connecting to the eastern Siberia. So even if we have a unification, the area must be conserved. And if there is something happens to have developed something, that it has to be sustainably developed. This is some environmentalist view on the DMZ at this time.
But I agree with the idea of preserving the portion of linking the back to backbone from back to mountain to the South Korean Ulsan or Busan area. But other portion of the DMZ should be used in the process of unification, like you know, on the western corridor of the DMZ, we have to develop the area so that we can build a kind of community that connects North Korea and South Korea together, in which we can move freely and goods can transported freely. So we have to maintain a balance. What portion of the DMZ we will develop and which part of the DMZ we will preserve.
As an environmental expert, though, is it possible, in your opinion, to develop and still be able to preserve what they have in the DMZ?
Yes. When they put the Torasan train station, and they have a big festival type of ceremony there, I insisted at that time we should not cut that railroad because we have to make an underground tunnel to pass through the DMZ. Yeah. With that way, we can prevent the fragmentation of the DMZ as an ecosystem. If the government is trying to get one piece of area for the so-called Peace Park, it should be a very ecologically sound and sustainably developed a piece of land.
So I would say that it would be desirable if we could develop a certain portion of the DMZ in a way that we can make the development eco-friendly and sustainable. So we can strike a balance between preservation and development.
Yes, I sincerely hope so.
So your two partnership will make that eco-friendly and stable development.
Hopefully. So let's talk a little bit about the ecological values in the DMZ. Back in 2012, the Korean government tried to get the UNESCO Biosphere Reserve as the title for the DMZ, but failed. So why is it important to have that title in terms of President Park's vision for creating a World Peace Park?
You see, it was very sad because I was in the MAP ICC at the time, and the application of Korean DMZ Biosphere Reserve has been approved by the International Advisory Committee of the MAP headquarters. And that comes to the ICC, the International Coordinating Council. They have been deferred because they have a slight lack of the buffer zone of a certain area. And of course, the council rule of the procedure says that consensus makes the final decision. So DPRK refused it, so we do not have that one approved. However, Korean DMZ Biosphere Reserve is deferred. Deferred means that is not a rejection. That comes to later. You can the Korea can resume the reapplication, and I think it will be done very successfully. The importance and the significance of the designation as a biosphere reserve of DMZ is very, very enormous, because it has been designated the international recognition of this area, because after the designation we can further develop DMZ biosphere reserve to the certain type of the DMZ World Peace Park. The name of the Peace Park, name of the biosphere reserve is the same thing, let's say. Some biosphere reserves called it Peace Park. For instance, the 1913 Japan's Shizuoka, they have got Aya, a biosphere reserve has been approved, and they call it Aya Eco Park. So the title doesn't mean anything. As long as they are as a biosphere reserve as approved, then you can use that area as the conservation and sustainable use and the logistic support. These three principles and functions of biosphere reserves can be achieved in that area. So it is very important to have a biosphere, Korean DMZ Biosphere Reserve is a very feasible and proper way to be a DMZ World Peace Park. I think it is equal.
From the perspective of inter-Korean relations, I would say it would give us two kinds of merits. One would be that it will make it easier for North Korea to participate. If we can work together with the international entities like UNESCO, it would be easier for us to persuade North Korea to participate. And the second merit would be that once North Korea participated, it wouldn't be easy for North Korea to withdraw from the participation. So it would be very desirable for us to get the international community engaged in inter-Korean relations.
If I may add more about your second position, you see the original Korean DMZ biosphere reserve, I will call it KDMZBR, which we have, the application says that military demarcation line south, so this doesn't include the north of the military demarcation line. So this is totally South Korean biosphere reserve. Ideally, we have a sort of North Korean biosphere reserve as well as a transboundary biosphere reserve, like Paek-2 biosphere reserve and Changbae-Shan biosphere reserve is a transboundary biosphere reserve. UNESCO encouraged to have a trans-biosphere reserve because, this political or geographical conflict will be illuminated by this formation of the ecosystem binding these transboundary biosphere reserve. So we hope that DMZ transboundary biosphere reserve is the ideal one, but they cannot do it. So we applied as a southern part of the KDMZVR. And because of that is very, very important, because later we can suggest to the DPRK that you can have the same thing to the north part of the DMZ area, then we can have a transboundary biosphere reserve of DMZ, then we can have just smoothly to preserve this area as a biosphere reserve. This is what our national committee has intended to do.
So you are implying that the South Korea can develop a certain part of DMZ without the armistice agreement
Yeah, I would like to ask the KDMZVR. The entire 2 kilometers of the DMZ as a core area.
Right.
And some civilian control zone is a buffer area, and outside there is a transition area. So in the biosphere reserve, you have the 3 distinctive regions: core area, buffer area, and transition area. And the DMZ area as a core area. So in a core area, you cannot do anything.
Right.
It's perfectly for the conservation purposes. To protect this core area, you have to get some less prohibitive area, which is a buffer. And in the transition area is a less of a inhibitions, so they can do very many things. The purpose of this is you can have a certain area for the protected area, you make it core area. You just make a certain area alone as a protected area that cannot be survived because it becomes an island. So you have a certain place to be protected, sort of gradual decrease of the protection, core area, buffer area, transition area. This is the whole idea behind our Korean DMZ biosphere reserve.
Now, while we are on the topic of ecological values, we have someone standing by for us, Mr. Hall Healy, the former president of the DMZ Forum. Thank you very much for joining us today, sir.
What is the significance of the ecosystem of the DMZ when it comes to inter-Korean relations and the relations in Northeast Asia as a whole?
It is estimated that the DMZ has up to 4,000 plant and animal species. 4,000. That includes hundreds of species of birds that fly through the DMZ and the CCZ from Russia down to Australia, encompassing half of the world. The DMZ and the civilian control zone have extremely important cultural, natural, and economic resources, including historic monuments and archaeological sites. I think they could easily earn several $billions That's trillions of won every year if managed sustainably.
So the park, if established, will have a lot to offer in your opinion, but do you think it can actually contribute to relieving inter-Korean tensions?
Absolutely yes, without a doubt. Establishing a peace park will provide a way for both Koreas to work together to preserve and protect these globally unique resources. Working collaboratively to conserve the DMZ can help build trust and confidence between the peoples. Saving the DMZ builds on 5,000 years of Korea's shared history as a people.
But the fact of the matter is that there are some people who think differently. So could you give us some examples supporting your argument?
There are numerous examples around the world where similar areas have been saved and in the process have helped people resolve conflict and come together. These include many transboundary parks between South Africa and its neighbors like Mozambique, through the work of the Peace Parks Foundation of South Africa. In Germany also, for example, since reunification, they established a green belt where the border separating their two countries once stood. After World War I, another example is of how Poland and what is now Slovakia created a park to resolve border disputes. And just recently, a 100-year-old dispute between Chile and Peru was resolved by the International Court of Justice at The Hague, maintaining Chilean fishing rights and at the same time giving Peru 19,000 square miles of maritime resources.
So quite a few positive examples to note down there, and we will certainly take those into consideration in our discussion today. Thank you very much, sir, for your time today. That was Mr. Hall Healy, the former president of the DMZ Forum.
Actually, there have been many visions for promoting the peaceful use of DMZ, but unfortunately, these visions were never actualized. And to be frank, do you really think that the DMZ World Peace Park can be actualized?
I would say I'm in the positive side. Not in the sense that we can accomplish the project in a matter of this year or next year, but I think it makes good sense simply because the DMZ area is one of the most heavily armed places in the world. At the same time, the DMZ has been the very forefront of the Cold War confrontation in the modern history. So these facts provide us the rationale that the World Peace Park can symbolize as a place of peace, reflecting the kind of confrontation we experienced. So the contrast between because the area is the area of confrontation, we have to transform the area into the area of peace. So the World Peace Park can symbolize that kind of transformation.
Realistically speaking, though, and I want an honest answer from you, how feasible is it for Pyongyang to take interest and take part in establishing the World Peace Park?
I would be rather cautious in predicting North Korean participation because, as I said, North Korea has been very reluctant to any DMZ-related proposals from the South. But what I'm saying is that because the establishment of the World Peace Park makes a very good sense, we have to continue to persuade North Korea and then nudge North Korea into the participation together with the international community. But because that's not an easy task, we have to be aware that the project will be with a bumpy road ahead.
Should South Korea push ahead with the project, even if North Korea says we don't want to take part?
We have to do our best to develop the area into the World Peace Park before unification. But if we cannot accomplish the project before the unification, then we will even have to do it even after unification.
Wouldn't economic potentials that the DMZ has, wouldn't those serve as a reason or a bait for Pyongyang to get interested in?
That's a good point, and we have been making use of that element in persuading North Korea. But if we put ourselves in the shoes of North Korean leaders, they are more concerned about the possibility of a threat coming from the south to North Korean survival compared to the kind of economic gains you just mentioned. So we have to consider both aspects as well.
Yes, I think it may be a good lure for, this is not the right way, but a very good way to push the DPRK to agree this type of thing. However, we have to understand and we have to realize that supporting economically to the DPRK is not only for them, it is beneficial for us too. And it is very, very important because we have to make our position clear that economic support or economic help will help us too, but it is our advantage or the benefits too. And this kind of very friendly and truthful persuasion will make a little bit better to understand for them to take these kind of economical alluring.
We delivered this kind of message to North Korea previously, like if we can develop some portion of the DMZ area for tourism sites, eco-friendly tourism sites, then the profits coming from the business can be attributed to the North Korean side more than to the south, so that we can make the project more profitable for North Korea rather than to the south. And North Korea refused even that kind of very benevolent offer from the south.
So whether it be with or without North Korea's participation, it's going to be better for South Korea to have a role model for the World Peace Park. And one place being considered as such is Germany's Grünes Band, or the Green Belt. So to hear more about it, we have Mr. Uwe Ricken, the senior scientist of the German Federal Agency for Nature Conservation. Hello there, and thank you for talking to us today.
Yes, thank you.
Grünes Band has been considered one of the successful cases of preserving Germany's ecosystem. Please tell us what kind of impact the successful management and the preservation of the park brought to the nation.
There are three benefits. First of all, there is a lot of threatened species and ecosystems in this former border stripe. Second, the development and protection of the Greenbelt works very well as a historical monument to remind the people on the former division of Europe. And that is still getting more and more important 25 years after the reunification. And third is due to the interest in both nature and historic things. There are a lot of people coming to experience both in the border region. The Greenbelt is also very important for the regional sustainable economic development.
But many experts here in Korea are saying that it's going to be difficult to get Pyongyang involved. So what are some of the ways to make North Korea take part?
Yes, as far as I know, there are only very few direct contacts between North and South Korea, and that makes it very difficult to cooperate in protecting the DMZ. And therefore, my opinion is South Korea would start and go on and try to protect the southern part of the DMZ. And parallel, I think it would be a good idea to use a third party to get into contact with Korea.
It seems like you strongly believe in Seoul getting started on the project without North Korea's involvement.
It would be very good to establish Peace Park or a protected area in the southern part of the DMZ. My strong proposal would be start now, because our experience is when there is a chance for reunification, there will be a lot of very, very important topics which politics will focus on. Mainly, for example, infrastructure development, economic development, social aspects in reunification. Only few people or no people will take care on nature protection there, because economic aspects will dominate the political discussion for years.
All right, thank you for answering our questions today. That was Mr. Ube Ricken, Senior Scientist of the German Federal Agency for Nature Conservation. Now, Mr. Ricken just mentioned that South Korea should spearhead the project no matter what, but there are criticisms about the way President Park made that suggestion, bringing up the topic at an international event without making an agreement with the North. Wouldn't that come off as too unilateral?
Well, of course, it will be an ideal process for us to consult with North Korea before embarking on any inter-Korean projects. But it can be a quite different story if we realize the fact that North Korea is turning deaf ears to whatever we say. Even today, as we speak, North Korea is not responding to our request to open higher level inter-Korean talks. So in this kind of situation, what we have to do is to continue our efforts to improve inter-Korean relations and keep the door open for North Korea to participate at any time in the process. I think that's the way we have to follow.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right, because we do the first, because they are not cooperate with us bilaterally. So we do the first, and we persuade them later to do the thing later. And I think that is the most effective and most practical and most reasonable way to pursue this kind of very, very important as well as very difficult situation that we are having it now.
Would you say it's President Park's way of trying to thaw inter-Korean relations?
Well, we assume that, because the environmental cooperation or cooperation of transforming the very sensitive DMZ area into peaceful area, that kind of a project we can easily agree on. But North Korea is not very much positive about this project. So what we have to do is to make sure that we are not interested in pursuing this kind of projects unilaterally. We are always prepared to work together with the North. But unless North Korea participate, we cannot go if we simply give up. So we have to continue our efforts but leave the door open for North Korean participation.
I think your idea is perfectly right position, because without their permission we cannot do anything. That's why we have to do our things first. Then we will have some lag time to have got the complete bilateral cooperation on this important area. Now, with my experience in the East Asian Biosphere Reserve Network, I talked sort of transboundary biosphere reserve thing for many years, at least 10 to 15 years ago. And what these DPRK's UNESCO people say that they agree with the peaceful coexistence. However, making a biosphere reserve, DMZ biosphere reserve, makes it permanent segregation of two countries because we are same country. This is their logic. Sometimes you see, it will make a permanent sort of segregation between two countries, and I think this is ridiculous. And they do not know exact meaning of the biosphere reserves. It's a peaceful zone, and the environmental cooperation is easiest to get together rather than the political or military thing. So UNESCO Biosphere Reserve is a very good alternative to have this kind of initiation and opening between North and South sort of tangled problems.
So exactly, that is North Korean position. You know?
Yes.
The rationale of North Korea to oppose the idea of developing the DMZ area is that if we preserve the DMZ area, that will be translated into perpetuating inter-Korean division, because we are maintaining the dividing facilities for a long time. But we have to persuade North Koreans that we are not trying to preserve the DMZ as it is. We are going to make a good use of certain portion of the DMZ to promote inter-Korean activities and balanced development of the whole Korean peninsula. And in that process, we are also willing to preserve certain portion of the DMZ in a way that we can preserve the biosphere of the DMZ, which has been protected for a long time. So, North Korean argument doesn't make good sense, but still we have to be patient in persuading North Korea that North Korean understanding is somewhat misleading.
Well, let's say the park is established, then comes the question of how to manage the park. Currently, the DMZ is controlled by the UN, but if the park is established, should the UN continue to control the area, or should the two Koreas be given the right to manage the park?
I think the Kaesong Industrial Complex can serve as a model. In the Kaesong Industrial Complex, the security is taken care of by the military authorities of both sides, South Korea and North Korea, with the endorsements of the United Nations Command. And other than the security issues, day-to-day operational management issues will be handled by the relevant authorities of the both South and North. So we have to make sure that we are talking about Korean land, part of Korean land, as Koreans. We are sovereign nations to deal with this kind of problem. So the United Nations Command has never been hindrance to this kind of cooperation between the two Koreas.
But the Kaesong Industrial Complex has had many troubles in the past, especially last year. So do you still think it's a role model or a possible way to the system to manage the Peace Park?
Yes, it serves as a role model because we can learn to what extent we can expect cooperation from the North. Currently, North Korea is not cooperating with us in further improving the situations in the Kaesong Industrial Complex, like the communication. You cannot use cellular phones in the Kaesong Industrial Complex. Without cellular phones, you cannot easily communicate. You cannot operate your functions properly. So, the cellular phone connection is one of the fundamental issue for our management of the business and the management of our daily lives. So without that kind of cooperation from the North, we will have difficulty in maintaining our operations in the area. So at the same time, in the case of Kaesong Industrial Complex, North Korea has been showing some kind of cooperation, like allowing North Korean workers commuting from back and forth from the North Korean side, and then South Korean workers commuting from South Korean side to the Kaesong Industrial Complex, so forth. So this kind of experiences accumulated in the process of developing the Kaesong Industrial Complex can serve as a bottom line for us to cooperate in developing other projects like World Peace Park in the DMZ.
Yes, I think there will not be any difficulties, let's say, because the formation of that kind of area has already got the support from the DPRK. So management there will be very, very easily can be done, as Dr. Park says. However, there will be a little problems like, communications and very small things may happen, but we have to be patient. As long as North Korea has been accepted this kind of thing, then the management will not be any problem. And in that case, something happens in this DMZ area, the United Nations Command will not have any rights, because this area is our territory and the DPRK's territory. So with the help of UNC and the both Koreas will have solved this kind of problem rather easily.
A variety of events have been held near the DMZ, a symbol of the divided Korean peninsula. Recent efforts around establishing a DMZ World Peace Park. Renowned media mogul Ted Turner suggested the designation of the DMZ as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and said it could be a stepping stone for establishing a peace park. The director of the National Institute of Ecology has suggested making use of the ecological value of the DMZ area. A young American activist recently suggested that the U.S. Congress adopt a resolution for the creation of a children's peace forest in the DMZ area. A former German ambassador to Korea also proposed building a UN peace city near the DMZ. The plan to build a DMZ World Peace Park is taking shape amid increased interest from the international community.
So, all in all, what kind of direction do you think the South Korean government should take in order to maintain the ecosystem, improve inter-Korean relations, and globalize the peace park?
Let me focus on the issue of establishing the World Peace Park. I just briefly mentioned that we can include such elements as Korean unity, international peace, and the human environment. But how we can put them together in a very unique and attractive way. I think here we can think of the Hallyu culture. So I would expect the kind of World Peace Park which does not copy any existing facilities in outside in other countries. I would expect that to be some uniquely designed and which reflects the rich Korean history and top-notch advanced technology together. So by combining this kind of rich history and modern-day technology together in Korean style, that can make itself a unique attraction for tourists all over the world.
Yes, I think your specific ideas are very good and will be very effective. The sort of the content and storytelling is very, very important. However, these contents has to be very fulfilling and very, very important to expose the Korea, to Koreans actually. So it will contain, the more the better, but we have to evaluate and review those contents and the suggestions to have a most effective one. It will contain very many things, the environmental things, specific ecosystem of the DMZ area, and biodiversity, of course, and cultural diversity as well, and some historical events and conservation, and according to the conservation, we have to sustainable development of that area. This kind of thing is all consist for the storytelling and the contents, as you have mentioned, very many things in practical ways. However, I must put one more thing. To do this, the capacity building, to pursue this is very important thing, that we have to go to the capacity building before to go to the developing these kind of contents as well. I think as a government, to the government, the peace park, the existing peace park alone is not that wise way, because peace park is the only part. It may be initiating the peace talk with inter-Korean relationship, but let's expand this peace park concept to the whole DMZ area, which I would like to suggest. And ecosystem of the DMZ has to be conserved. And if we want to develop, it has to be sustainable. Otherwise, it will not be. It will be fail. So to do that, directly the bilateral efforts is very important. However, indirectly, through all these united or the international organizations concerning the environment and the political, organizations can support our intentions there. So we have to, the government has to do this kind of very, very clearly. The other thing is that the government is insisting the name of this particular thing, the Korea DMZ World Peace Park. You see, it really confines the meaning just that area. So the broad title, let's say a World Eco Peace Park. Eco should be in, because peace alone does not make much sense. So do not just pay much attention or insist that the name of the peace park. And as a UNESCO man, the Biosphere Reserve is another really feasible alternative to have a World Peace Park. So with combine all these, we were going to have a very good and a bright future of the World Peace Park.
Well, based on our discussion today, I have a feeling that this is not going to be an easy task with many hurdles along the way, but it still is a topic worth keeping an eye on and to see where this grand vision will lead us.
All right, Dr. Park and Mr. Chair, thank you so much for sharing your time and your thought with us today.
It was my pleasure, indeed.
And that brings us to the end of this week's edition of Upfront. It's my sad duty to let our viewers know that this will be the last edition that the two of us will be hosting the show.
To all of our viewers, I would like to thank you very much for watching our program. Upfront will be back next week with a brand new look with a great new host. So please continue to tune in.
On my end, it's been a great honor and a pleasure. This has been Nai Hyun-kyung alongside Yu Jong-soo. Bye-bye.